Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, January 11th. The time is 5:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for coming this evening. We have some people I would like to recognize. Mr. Matt Niskin is here with respect to a planning and zoning issue. We have Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley here on an issue regarding an ongoing rental issue that we were trying to deal with as well. Thanks for coming to listen to the meeting. We have Mr. Don Etter, who is on the public speaking docket for some snow plowing issues. Also in the audience is Jan Mikowski, Friends of Public Safety and resident of the Midway area. And Jody Grabowski is our library director, and she's here as well. So Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Baraboo.
Present.
Friedlieb.
Present.
Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Barancelli. Here. Cuffey.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you, everyone, for listening at home. We have a full docket of meetings today. We had a meeting this afternoon, and we had a committee of whole meeting last week, and so we'll be reporting on all those items, of course, and the city council meeting issues as well. We'll move to item 4, which is the public forum. This is an opportunity for people from the general public to come forward and speak on an issue or a question that they have. We have scheduled on the public forum Mr. Don Etter under 4.1, and Mr. Etter, I see you're in the audience. Would you like to come forward and address the council with respect to a snow plowing concern that you have on the Bailey's Lake? And as you move forward, I would like you to turn the green light on the podium. And then please address the council. Please state your name for the record, and welcome to the city council meeting this evening, Mr. Etter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, my name is Don Etter. I do live here in town, and I would like to address the issue of the Alice Metal Towers depositing their snow into Bailey's Lake. I do have some photographs that I took just recently today, if anybody would like.
Sure, welcome to pass them around, Mr. Etter. Thank you.
Excuse me. About 3 weeks ago, the first snowstorm, I noticed that the Nettles was pushing their snow into the lake. Their parking lot is right adjacent to the lake. And so I went to the office and talked to the manager, Patty Smith, and told her of the situation. She said she was unaware of it and that she would take care of it. Well, it was only about 2 or 3 days later, we had another snowstorm, and the same issue, they pushed more snow into the lake and across the new path that we have, and you can't even use the path there. Our city plow, or the path cleaner, couldn't even get through the snow that they had deposited there. So I talked to Britt Seabens, and she said that she would contact Patty Smith and that it would probably be taken care of. Well, a week later, there it happened again. So I came back in and talked to Britt again, and she not only talked to Patty Smith, but she said she talked to the snow contractor as well. It didn't happen, and now the photograph that you'll see with the fence in it is the bottom scrapings that they cleaned. They moved all the cars and took that, and not only did they couldn't push it any further into the lake down to the south, so they dumped it directly over the fence, and there's only about 2 feet from the fence to the lake, so all this debris and nasty stuff has been dumped right into the lake. In addition to not only depositing the stuff into the lake, onto the property of the city, but we can't use the path, and all the heavy equipment is going back and forth across our new path. And I don't understand why they won't quit, but I would like to request a cease and desist order from the council, if you would please. And also, an order that they remove the snow. I talked to the mayor earlier about safety and not being able to get out onto the lake to remove it. But there's no reason they can't reach right over the fence with a backhoe and get rid of that, especially the nasty stuff. So with that, I guess I have no further comments except that I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Eder. Would you please stay here for just a few more minutes while
Most certainly, I'll say for the entire meeting.
just hang on right there at the podium, if you would,
yes.
please. Thank you very much. Britt, you have any other issues? Could you get any more information to help? I did talk to you, Mr. Eder, earlier today, and asked you to come here again to address the issue with respect to this. So, Britt?
Yep, I had talked to Mr. Eder a couple times, and Mr. Rossford, our Public Works Director, has spoken to the contractor and told him more than once that you need to stop crossing our trail with your equipment, you need to stop putting snow into the lake, you need to stop pushing it against the fence. And Mr. Eder reported today that they again today pushed snow into the lake, and this time they put it up and over the fence into the lake. So,
Which is it's unconscionable to do what they're doing. Such a nice pristine lake that we have. I mean, especially, I can see it if they weren't warned or told or anything,
they have been warned.
but
yes.
they've had plenty of time, and it's just really a sad situation.
Yes, they have, Mr. Eder. In our conversation after, I did drive over there and take a look. It's not an acceptable practice, and all the efforts we made so far have failed. So we are here today to address the issue, make it generally known to the public, and you're asking for us to take some immediate action regarding a cease and desist order. So we'll go around the city council. We have Councilor Johnson's light on. We'll go to Councilor Johnson, then over to Councilor Paulson, then over Councilor Bearable. In fact, let's start with Councilor Bearable. He's the street and alley chair. So let's go with Councilor Bearable, then we'll go back around the room.
Yes.
Councilor Bearable.
Thank you, Mayor. I was not aware of that because nobody contacted me on this issue. We have ordinances against snow dumping on city property, and that's all city property along there.
Yes, sir.
I think we need to institute, since they've been warned more than once on this, we need to institute, I believe there's a fine system with this, correct?
There is.
We should institute a fine system on this, and I believe if they don't do it and keep doing it, it doubles and doubles and, goes up and up and up. That's my perspective, because we don't allow anybody to dump in our own city snow dumps unless they get permission from the city. Because we have snow dumps quite many places around the city, but we own all that property. And we don't let other institutions dump there unless they get permission from us. That's my take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Paulson?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Eder, for coming forward and bringing this to the attention of the council. I have a question. I couldn't tell in those pictures. Do you feel that there's been any damage to the fence itself or to the trail?
Well, the trail itself would probably be hard to determine until the springtime, and I did not notice any damage to the fence.
And is that a temporary fence? That's the permanent fence. Okay, and then is there, on top of the fines that we can do, can we take a legal action of a cease and desist? Have they been verbally warned twice or once? And does it need to be in writing at least once, or can we enact a cease and desist effective at this meeting if there's a motion?
Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. The fact that there's been a verbal warning on 2 occasions, I think, is a good start. At this point, because there's been a warning, I think there could be a fine levied pursuant to the ordinance. I think it's always a good practice to reduce that warning to a writing, and so we may want to send one additional writing and let them know that in the event that they don't stop this conduct and stop dumping the snow onto the city property, and especially across the trail and in that lake, that the city will move forward with fines pursuant to the ordinance. And then there are civil actions that can be brought in the nature of trespass.
Okay, so, and then is that in writing, is that legally called a cease and desist?
Correct. That would be considered a cease and desist
Okay,
letter.
thank you, appreciate it.
And part of that would requirement be to remove the snow as well. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Johnson, looking.
My first thought was what you had talked, thank you for coming in, by the way. once snow is picked up and a snow removal process, it becomes a different entity than if we're just pushing it. So my concern is that whoever is doing this has now physically picked up the snow, transported it, and now dumped it into a water body that is regulated by the DNR. I'm very concerned about the chemicals that are applied that we have to do anyway, but now we've literally taken away any natural processing or any and I forget the word, that would have sort of cleaned the water before it ran, and now we're literally dumping it on the ice. It's going to melt into where the rocks. So
correct.
I would hope that they understand the ramifications, that if the MPCA or the DNR finds out, that could be something very substantial to their company. And I'm appalled that would even be conscionable. I mean, when I used to work at the daycare, I asked if we could take the snow we were taking off the parking lot and dump it in the back, the clean stuff, so kids would, absolutely not. We couldn't even transport it on our own property to make a pile. So that, so whatever we can do to stop it today is great, but I also think we need to make sure that if there's any other things beyond the city, that needs to be looked at as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. So I think we're looking for some council action here. Looking for a motion to move to direct our city staff and our city attorney to send a notification to both the Ellis Nettles Tower and the contractor, immediate cease and desist order, and a demand that the snow be removed that's been piled up, and then look at any other consequence that we may be able to implore with respect to the statutory issues or in the ordinance itself. So thank you. Councilor Beyondich.
I would make that motion.
Okay, Councilor Beyondich makes the motion to have our city staff and our city attorney in writing formally put a cease and desist order, and then a demand that the snow be removed by the contractor, and both that would be to both the contractor and to the Ellis Nettles Tower management staff as well. Is that correct? So there's a motion on the floor by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support for that?
Support for discussion.
Support by Councilor Paulson for discussion. Further discussion, first Councilor Paulson, then Councilor Baraboo, and then back over to Councilor Johnson. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a fine that we could add on top of that? Is there something specific set in our ordinance that maybe you want to add on to that motion? Or do we want to just let staff handle it within the cease and desist?
Yeah, I think that's part of the motion. Trigger the issues, or trigger the statutory issues in the ordinance, and if it calls for a fine based upon what the penalty phase is in our ordinance about dumping snow on city property, we should move forward with it as well. That would be part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Paulson. Moved and supported. Further discussion? Okay, Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And as for the removal of the snow that's there, I don't think we should be allowing heavy equipment to be parking on the track and scooping. That's a brand-new trail that was designed for foot traffic and bicycle traffic, not for large material. I think they should have to figure out another way of removing that snow without using heavy equipment on our new trail. I mean, with that's a huge project that staff worked very hard on to obtain funding and to be able to drive on it to fix their mistake. I think that should be, I'd like to see that being not an option, that they may need to go out there and shovel it off so that it's not going to do, because the other thing is they're lifting up snow. Are they going to ruin we just redid the shoreline with rocks and made it, and I'm concerned that they're going to start digging up rocks, and all that work was done. So I would like to see that as part of the remediation moving forward.
Yeah, I think the remediation part of that snow removal goes along with any damage incurred as a result of that would be at the expense of the contractor and the Ellis Nettles Tower. Councilor Freely.
Is there a fee-based structure that a private contractor can engage to be able to dump on city dumps or not?
We do have city dump options available. Thank you for the question.
And
Jim,
the reason I ask
we
is
do.
because isn't there one right across the street?
Yes,
We do.
there is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
so
there is.
it should be a pretty easy.
Well-
Even for them to clean up what they've already done to bring it over there and then charge them for that if that's the case.
Absolutely, with permission, we normally would do that.
I would suggest that we can move forward with this motion, but within that motion, I think that communication should be done so that they have that option to clean up the mess that they've made. And it's not that inconvenience to them to do it across the street.
And it may be a new contractor, maybe it's one they haven't used before, because it never happened before. They were dumping snow, they were moving the snow and taking it someplace else. So as an option, as our city administrator indicated, all they need to do is get permission from our public works director, get permission to dump a certain amount of snow, and they would be designated a space within the dumps that the city owns in order to accomplish that.
Could be easily logistically remedied by doing that across the street. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay, we'll add that to the communication as well. Okay, so it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. Eder. Thank you for the photographs. Would you mind if we kept those as part of our file?
Oh, that would be fine.
I look forward to that. So thanks very much for coming in. Once again, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Bill, you as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 5, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the city of Virginia requests that the items be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on December 28th, 2021. Item 5.2 is the adoption of Finance Resolution Number 22-001, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3 is approve pay estimate number 9 to George Bugalis and Sons for the 2021 Bailey's Lake Improvement Project in the amount of $16,640.77. Item 5.4 is approve the following travel requests. 5.4A, Jody Grebanowski, the Library Director, to attend the Public Library Association National Conference, March 22nd through the 25th, 2022 in Portland, Oregon, at a cost of $1,380, and that is a budgeted item. Item 5.4B, John Sullivan, our Community Development Planner, to attend the EDAM 2022 Winter Conference, January 27th and 28th, 2022 in Bloomington, Minnesota, at a cost of $672.36, budgeted item. Item 5.4C, Noah Burr, police officer, to attend the Foundation Instructor Trainer, May 23rd, 2022, and May 27th, 2022 in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, at a cost of $1,823.95, budgeted in the police training budget for 2022. And item 5.4D, Casey Fink, police officer, to attend the Female Arrest and Control Tactics scheduled for April 20th through the 21st, 2022 in St. Paul at a cost of $1,013.44. Another budget item. Is there a correction on that, Pam?
Yes, there is. There will not be any hotel lodging, so the total price for Cassie Fink would be $763.44.
$763.44. Okay, so there is a reduction of 5.4D, the cost from $1,013.44 minus the hotel and other expenses for a total cost for that training, $763.44. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. And those are the items on the consent agenda. Looking for council action. Councilor Johnson?
I'd like to pull 5.4A, please.
Okay, 5.4A. Okay, Councilor Johnson requests the approval to remove 5.4A for further discussion. As far as 5.4B, C, and D, looking for motion to approve.
Mayor, I'd like to remove C.
Okay, we have a request by Councilor Johnson to remove 5.4A for further discussion. We also have a request by Councilor Baraboo to remove for discussion 5.4C. So we have B and D. We'll hold those in abeyance until we further discuss. First, we'll discuss item 5.4A, Jody Grebanowski, Library Director, to attend the Public Library Association National Conference, May 26th through the 21st, 2022 in Portland, Oregon, for a cost of $1,380. Councilor Johnson.
Where are we on our, updating our personnel travel policy, especially for out of state and out of country? We were going to look at that policy.
Needs to come back to the Personnel Committee still.
Pardon me?
It needs to come back to the Personnel Committee still. We haven't had a chance.
Okay, I want to make sure we're being consistent on what we're doing here. Not that I don't think you should go, that, nothing to do with it, but I want to make sure we're being consistent on how we're vetting those. That's all, the only concern I had, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion item that was requested for additional discussion by Counselor Johnson under item 5.4A? Seeing none, we'll move to 5.4C. Noah Burr, police officer, attend the foundation instructor trainer, May 23rd, 2022, and May 27th, 2022, in Brooklyn Park at a cost of $1,823.95. Counselor Bearable.
Mayor, I have trouble understanding, is this two separate times down to Brooklyn Park, or is it through 23 to 27? That seems like an
It should be,
exorbitant amount for in-state travel.
it should be May 23rd through May 27th.
Okay, that's all I wanted,
5
the
days.
correction, so I knew then it's
That's
okay.
true? Is that what it is? Is it through?
Yeah,
What is it?
there's 5 days of hotel there.
Okay, then I'm fine with that, because that's a big training program. We'll be able to do the trainer here then.
Yes.
Training here, so
He's our
that's-
defensive tactics instructor, so he trains all of our officers on defensive
Yeah,
tactics.
no, I understand that, but I just want to make sure it wasn't just two separate days that it was through.
It is, the correction would be made as you pulled from this for discussion. It is May 23rd through May 27th.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion on item 5.4C? Okay, looking for council action on the approval and corrections of the minutes. We've done that, and so the consent agenda, looking for council action for approval.
Also move, Mayor, the consent agenda with those corrections.
Councilor Bearable moves to approve the consent agenda with the corrections requested. Is there support? Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 is appearances. We have no one scheduled to appear before the council this evening, but once again, this is an opportunity for anybody from the general public to come forward to ask questions or speak on any topic they deem that is necessary, they'd like to address the council for any topic whatsoever. Seeing none at this time, we'll move to item 7, which is unfinished business. Item 7.1 apparently continues to rear its ugly head, and it's the sale of the hospital. And we're looking to approve an amendment to the purchase agreement, moving the closing date to January 21st, 2022. And we're still waiting for some issues from the state, and I'll refer to Brian, our city attorney, Brian Lindsay, our city attorney, to explain.
Thank you, Mayor. So the last time I spoke on this topic, I indicated that we were extending out to allow the state to get us the clearance for the bond encumbrance. That's once again the issue. I will update the council, and I want to make clear that both the city and the Essentia have submitted and actually have in trust with the closing company all of the other required documents. And so essentially what's left to happen is to have the encumbrance release received from the state, and at that point, they can essentially close the transaction. We have to sign an updated settlement statement, but at that point, essentially, we would close the transaction and they would disperse the funds. And so we're literally that close to having this done. We're still hopeful that we will get that release prior to the 14th, but just out of an abundance of caution, we don't want to run into a situation where that release comes in and we're at some point in the middle of between the 14th and the 21st and have the closing company come back and say, well, we no longer have a valid purchase agreement. So I would ask the council to approve this amendment just out of an abundance of caution to ensure that this transaction closes.
Thank you, Brian. Councilor
I'm just going to
Bearable.
make that motion that we extend that time frame. I had talked to Brian after our meeting this morning. He explained that to me, so I'll make that motion that we extend the time frame to the 21st.
Okay, thank you. It's moved by Councilor Bearable. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.2, the rental code ordinance, I know we're very close. There is a few things that have been submitted for to consideration. And so I did get an email from John Sullivan about any issues I had. So I looked at my list of things. They were all included in that. I finally got through the entire document. So we're getting close to moving forward. There's just a few little items to look for. And John, do you have any updates regarding the rental code ordinance?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not, other than we brought it up at the Planning Commission at our meeting on January 3rd, just to say that, now we need to start taking testimony and having meetings and hearings and discussions with it and start moving forward or not moving forward in earnest. And I expect that to happen fairly soon.
Thank you, John. Okay. Any comments regarding that? None. We'll move to item 8, discussion items. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Niskanen. Item 8.1 is to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting January 3rd, 2022. The recommendation from the Planning and Zoning is under 8.11 is to approve the variance request for Katie Niskanen, 9 Culbert Lane, Virginia, Minnesota, for an extra 920 square feet in addition to the 1,000 maximum square footage for an accessory building behind their residence. And you can see before you have a Land Explorer map that kind of shows that area. Culbert Lane is a dead end. There's a power line behind it. Mr. and Mrs. Niskanen own about 5.4 acres right in that area that runs right along the power line. It doesn't encumber any other city property. It does not encumber any other residential property as well, and it meets the satisfaction requirements of the planning and zoning. So looking for council action or any questions you may have. Councilor Freely.
I would move for approval, but I think there needs to be a correction. I believe that the square footage is actually 1,920, not 920. Is that correct?
It is. It's 1,000 square feet, and then you're asking for an additional 920 for a total of 1,920
Oh,
square
in
feet.
addition to the 1,000 that's already there? Oh. 1,920 total. All right, thank you.
Maximum allowed is 1,000 by ordinance, and so he's asking for 1,920 total.
For approval.
Moved for approval by Councilor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Beyondich. Further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Are we looking at the map with the blue outline? So I'm just curious, does that indicate that they own the road for that whole thing and we have an easement, or is that just the way it came up?
The county and their regular mapping system.
Okay, because if he owns the road, we might as well just ask him for permission now, because we're going to need it.
There's no road, but maybe some future time one might be punched in coming out of the border road. You never know where that goes. All right, thank you. So it has been moved and supported to approve the variance request from the Niskanens. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Niskanen. Appreciate it very much. Okay, we'll move to item 8.2, adopt a resolution approving the guidelines for the city council meeting. As you see in your packet, we have those guidelines. We made one little change last year where we added council reports onto that. It's the request of Councilor Johnson, but it's basically the same format to hold our meetings. And so looking for an adoption of that agenda. Councilor Johnson.
I will move the guidelines for city council meetings and hearings and committee meetings.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3, and I'll move this over to Sherry for further information. Adopt the resolution designating depositories for 2022. Sherry?
Hi, thank you. Councilors, this is a standard resolution every year we do in January of the new year, listing the depositories and basically these financial institutions that the city does investments and banking with. So nothing's really changed. I just spelled out the para one down in the second to the last paragraph. So I just spelled it out more. So Minnesota State Board of Investment. That's about it.
Okay,
Otherwise, everything's the same as last time.
okay, so you're looking for a motion to adopt the resolution designating these depositories as presented by our finance director for 2022. Moved by Counselor Freely. Is there support? Is there support?
All support, Mayor.
Support by Counselor Barnzelli and Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one question. Sherry, how often do we review these, or how often do they come under review to decide? I remember, I think it was Baker and Tilly, was that right, who came and we were talking about the securities and we had to choose the institutions, but how often do we in fact do that?
Once a year, usually. And then if there's, like with Baker, Paul Steinman came with Baker and Tilly, and then George Eilerson with the Northland Securities. We were discussing, obviously, bonding for the new event center, and the council made a formal motion there to invest in the 4M fund, the part of the bonds.
So if I've had a question, maybe from a more of a local bank partner, bank entity, that's something that we normally would review once a year, but not typically during this meeting.
Oh, yeah, we can review it any time of the year if you hadn't been approached by a bank. But we have in the past, and we usually definitely take into consideration the bank fees. We do spend a lot of money, and a lot of money does get sent through the banking system, and we try to stay locally, and we did change about, say, 6-7 years ago to Franson Bank from Wells Fargo.
Correct.
Because of the fees.
Okay, I appreciate that information. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. It has been moved and supported. Is there further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 8.4, as we do annually, appoint the acting mayor for 2022. Looking for council action.
I would nominate Counselor Baraboo for that position.
Okay, Counselor Freely renominates Counselor Baraboo as the acting mayor, who he currently is right now, for another term in 2022, and supported by Counselor Johnson. Are there any other nominations for vice mayor? Are there any other nominations for vice mayor? Are there any other nominations for vice mayor? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Counselor Baraboo as the vice mayor for 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Item 8.5 is adopt a resolution accepting a donation for the Virginia Library. Counselor Beyondich.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Beyondich. Is there support?
I'll support.
A support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held on January 4th, 2022. And I'll turn this part of the meeting over to our city administrator, Britt C. Bennis. Britt?
The committee of the whole meeting held.
Point of order, please.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Counselor Johnson, point of order.
The designating the official newspaper is in the packet, but not on the agenda. So
it's-
I would like to move that we designate the official newspaper, Mesabi Tribune, as presented in the resolution.
Okay, thank you for catching that, Counselor Johnson. So before we go to committee reports, it's been moved by Counselor Johnson to formally designate the Mesabi Tribune as the official newspaper for the city of Virginia for calendar year 2022. Is there support?
Support for discussion.
Support by Counselor Freely for discussion. Further discussion? Counselor Freely.
We do utilize Hometown Focus for advertising and other postings per se.
We do. We do try to use them equally.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do notice there's a couple of applications for advertising for apps for jobs in the Hometown Focus. Thank you. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. We'll add that to the minutes. Thank you for that correction. Okay, thank you, Pam. Okay, again, item committee reports of the whole, January 4th, 2022. Rick.
At the Committee of the Whole on January 4th, 2022, we had an appearance by John McNamara of Wold Architects, who discussed our Virginia Public Safety Center project. We discussed the building and the new design, where they were at with the design, some potential cost savings, discussed some geothermal and some solar options. They will be coming back. We're looking at potentially setting a next meeting date of the 25th, I believe is the next date. Was that correct, Pam? At 3:30, if that will work with everybody, that's right before the council meeting?
January 25th at 3:30.
Yes, if that
Okay.
will work.
Well, let's take a look at our calendars real quick and see if that's acceptable to everyone.
George Eilertson also called today and said he will also have his finance information ready at the same time, if that works.
Okay, thank you.
3:30? The 25th?
25th of January.
The same day as the council meeting, just right before the council meeting. Like it'll work for everybody?
Pardon? It's a council meeting night. We're just, we're starting earlier at 3:30. That's fine with you, Councilor Paulson? Councilor Bearboos, fine. Councilor Johnson?
Public Safety Center update.
Councilor Bronzelli? Councilor Beyondich? And Councilor Freely? Available? 3:30. So need a motion to set that date
That'd be wonderful.
for January 25th, Tuesday, 3:30 PM here in the council chambers to discuss the next issues with respect to the new public safety building, with George Eilertson being present too with respect to, added with the finance component to it. So is there, need a motion?
Also move.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Motion to set that date by Councilor Paulson, supported by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
At the Committee of the Whole meeting, we discussed the potential to add 2 casual positions back to the library. These positions were at the library in 2019, and we had laid them off due to the COVID closure of the library building. We would like to bring them back in 2022, and they have been put into the budget. It was moved and supported to approve advertising for hire the 2 casual library aides for the Virginia Public Library.
Looking for council action. Councilor Beyondich.
So moved.
Councilor Beyondich moves to approve the 2 library aides casual for Virginia Library. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
We reviewed the property list that was submitted by St. Louis County regarding the reclassification of tax forfeited property. It was moved and supported to receive and file the St. Louis County communication for reclassification of tax forfeited property.
Okay, thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the property offer for the parcel and public safety center development area at 1010 South Second Avenue.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? We good, John? Thank you. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
We recessed the meeting to discuss a potential offer for a sponsorship of the mezzanine at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. We have made a counter offer, and I have not heard back yet on the counter offer. Then we made a motion to set a personnel committee meeting today, on January 11th at 8:30 a.m. this morning. That's all I have from that meeting.
Okay, thank you. So we did have a personnel of the committee of the whole meeting today, Tuesday, January 11th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It was a long meeting. We discussed a lot of topics, and so would you like to continue with that committee report? Great, thank you.
Roll into today's personnel committee as a committee of the whole meeting. We had discussion regarding staffing at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. We had discussion on the revenue that was obtained thus far, and also expenditures to date. After a lot of discussion, it was moved and supported to approve hiring staff, recreation assistant staff, up to the equivalent of 10 full-time equivalent recreation assistants.
I will make that motion.
Counselor Johnson moves to support that. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify for the general public that we had originally agreed for 10 employees, which I would equate that to 10 bodies. And with the way that the scheduling is working itself out, what we're doing today is approving up to 10 full-time employees, and that's not necessarily bodies, so it could be up to 20 people or as needed to completely staff the Iron Trail Motors Event Center up to 10 full-time equivalent people.
Thank you for that clarification, Counselor Paulson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Current administrative assistant position that is being held at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center that's also split with Public Works Director Office is retiring, and the updated job description was presented today. It was moved and supported to approve the updated administrative assistant Parks and Recreation job description as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Right now, this is proposed as a halftime. Thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to point out that I will be making a motion after this one proves to post for that position. It's not on here, but I know we need to post for it as well.
All right, thank you. So it's been moved and supported to approve the updated Administrative Assistant Park and Rec job description. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Counselor Johnson.
I would make a motion to approve posting internally and externally as needed for that position.
Okay, moved by Counselor Johnson to post for the updated Administrative Assistant Park and Rec position. Is there support?
I'll support. Go ahead, Julianne.
Support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to direct staff to develop a job description for an event coordinator and to present to City Council for review.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
Support by Counselor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know we had a long discussion about this today, but between items C and D, D being approving the 2 part-time rec assistant positions into 2 full-time positions, I'd really be more comfortable having one more discussion regarding that event coordinator, because the request from Jim Hunt was 1.5 FTE, and possibly any overlap or any duties at these recreation assistant positions, since we haven't really created the job description for event coordinator, I'm still kind of stuck on that. And I just feel like we should have had a little bit more discussion on that, so I'm supportive of developing a job description. I'm not necessarily quite there yet with the 2 full-time rec assistants until I understand more about that event coordinator job description position. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor Paulson. The item C is, it was moved and supported as at this morning's Personnel Committee home meeting to direct staff to develop the job description for the event coordinator and present it to the council for further review. So that's on the table. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Britt?
And item D was to approve moving the 2 part-time recreation assistant positions to 2 full-time positions and post accordingly.
Okay,
So
thank you.
moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support for discussion.
Support by Counselor Freelieb for discussion. Further discussion, Counselor Freelieb.
So these are these not the lead recreation assistant
They are,
positions?
correct.
Okay, so we've determined that the 2 lead positions need to be full-time positions, and that will assist us in coordinating those additional hires to put in place accordingly for events as necessary.
Correct. The lead positions, the 2 lead recreation positions are really the backbones of the recreation assistants. They are the ones that know the schedule of what's going on this week. They know what we need to get set up. They are the ones that know how many chairs we need in the recreation, in the room. They know what the bumper car schedule is going to be this week. They know we need to.
And we have budgeted Sherry accordingly for these lead positions to become full-time?
As discussed today, Counselor, I feel that the revenue that's being generated, it's going to be about $50,000 more. But the way they've been making revenue, I think it'll cover it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Freely. Thank you, Sherry. So it has been moved and supported to approve moving the 2 part-time recreation lead assistants to full-time positions and post accordingly. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Pam.
Baraboo,
Aye.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
No.
Beyondich, Johnson,
Aye.
Baranzelli. Yes. Cuffey.
Aye. Motion passes 5-2. Thank you.
There was a motion to direct staff to continue researching the key swipe style of electronic time card keeping to be used throughout the city for all employees and make a recommendation to the council.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Is there support? Thank you. Counselor Baranzelli supports. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion?
We couldn't hear on this end.
Sorry, it was the key card system, the swipe card system for the time card keeping.
Researching the time card, research the key type keeping for moving forward and bringing that back to the council.
Wasn't on our agenda.
No, it's not on the agenda.
Oh, I'm reading on the minutes, it's in the minutes.
Okay, so what is the motion? I'm
The
sorry.
motion was to direct staff to continue researching the key swipe style of electronic time card keeping to be used throughout the city for all city employees and make a recommendation to the council.
Then one other further comment. I did have a couple conversations this afternoon, and what I've been, I guess, told is that there are elements within our departments within our city that are already using those elements that you're already looking into, and that's the same. Is that the same company that we had kind of discussed this morning?
Yes.
Okay, and then, so I think just to clarify where I was going with that, I don't want to change any systems that are already in place. And I did change it at the end to citywide focus, but the departments are already using that software, so I do think at this point, it's mainly more MEX, or Iron Trail Motors, I'm sorry. Iron Trail Motors Event Center specific. So, if that needs to be clarified from my previous motion this morning, because there are departments in the city that are already utilizing the software that our city administrator is looking into utilizing for the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. Did I say that correctly?
Correctly. Yeah,
Okay.
yep. And I think since this morning, I did some research, and I think I know exactly what you're looking for, and I think I have a solution that actually is it's going to be very easy to put in place, and it's going to be almost seamless. So I think this is going to be very easy for us to research, and I think I'll have an answer for you very soon. So I think this motion is perfect, and I think I'll come back with an answer very quickly. So,
Thank you, and thank you for allowing me
thank
to clarify.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you.
There's something in this room.
Mayor, since you're having a little issue there, Britt, I thought you said you were working on a punch system with the computers. No?
Yeah, I am. I am already working on a system, and there's already.
How much time have you put in on that now? Are we talking about a whole swipe system for the city now, or just the Iron Trail?
There's already 2 different systems in place that we've already been working on. That was already, the recreation assistants already use a different scheduling software that I looked up today that has a different system that kind of speaks to what Julianne was looking for. And then we were already working on a different time card system for the Public Works and Park and Rec staff. So I already had a lot of this already going on in place, knowing that the administrative assistant was retiring. So we were already moving towards this, so I think I will have a good report for you guys to get what you guys were looking for very soon.
Okay, so we're working on two different sets, right?
Two different paths I was already on that I think will accomplish everything that you were looking for.
So I wasn't hearing wrong then?
You weren't hearing wrong. No, I think we're going to get everything solved that you were looking for. It's going to solve a lot of our back end on payroll's side, their heartache of this, and we're going to get rid of a lot of paper. So,
That's good.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Brett.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, just so long as that whatever system we select as you present your research in any future meetings, that this is consistent, the same system citywide, not one here, citywide system. So that was the motion moving forward that from the committee of the whole meeting personnel, and that's the moved and supported here tonight already. So is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And I just want to point out a point of interest that Mr. Silber did note that the fitness equipment from YMCA is on track to be scheduled and delivered in March of 2022, and YMCA is hoping to be open in April of 2022 at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
Okay, and I see that that contract stays at $1,600 a month from the time they open. Thank you. Okay. That's it? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll move to item 10 on the agenda, which are commission liaison reports. Is there any city councilor that has a liaison report they'd like to give this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to item 11, department head reports. Any department head, and we'll go around the room. Britt, any other information that you'd like to disseminate to the council and to the public today? Okay, thank you. Anything from Sherry, anything from you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I know it's only January, but got word that April 4th, we're going to be starting our audit. To me, it's a little late, and so I did ask, sooner the better would be good. But April 4th, it gives us a little time here, but FYI, we'll roll up our sleeves again.
And you may be coordinate that with the Department of Public Utilities to make sure that they get theirs on time as well, right?
Correct.
Okay, so thank you. John, anything from planning and department development there?
Just, there's been business inquiries like usual, but the public safety facility acquisitions, we've been really busy with that. That's been taking a lot of staff's time lately.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Pam, anything else from the clerk's position? No. Our city attorney, Brian Lindsay. Brian, anything to present?
No report, Mayor.
No report, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to item 12, council reports. Is there any city councilor that'd like to give report or information disseminated this evening? Councilor Bearable.
Yeah, this is related to my being president of the Rams board. We held our annual meeting on December 29th from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. We had a pretty good turnout considering it was live. They had the option of coming without or with a mask. We had about 125 people there. That's less than we normally have, but it was very good. The food was provided by the sawmill, and it was very, very good. And we had, I can't remember the gentleman's name, Mr. Hanson was the speaker. He's with the
Jobs for Minnesota.
Yeah, Jobs for Minnesota and the iron industry. So he did a nice job. The only thing we did have, we had a failure with the electronics, so we couldn't get a couple of videos we wanted in there. One was from Amy Klobuchar, and then we had one other one that Mr. Hanson would have had. It was over at the Mountain Iron Community Center, and I'm sorry that it was there, but we had booked that a year ago. So we will be looking very positively. We already talked about it internally to have it here at the ITEC next, or the ITEC, or whatever you want to call it, next year. So be prepared. That'll be coming somewhere in either late December or early January.
Thank you. I think we should make an offer they can't refuse to hold their next annual Rams meeting at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center for 2022.
I was thinking the same thing.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
So we'll have a discussion on that. Got a long ways to go now, but it'll hold the same auspices that whoever holds that space can bring their own caterer in, so. And we've had some the last couple of years, and they've done an outstanding job.
Okay, thank you. I'll wait, Counselor Beyondich.
Thank you. I would just like to thank our fire department and Chief Alan Lewis. I had a person reach out to me. They were concerned their steam had been shut off. They are not able to get the conversion or the pipe dug in the winter, so they had a lot of space heaters in their home, which is a rental home. So she reached out to me, and I let Chief Alan Lewis know. He contacted her, they went over, they checked everything, and everything was very well done. My concerns were put to rest after hearing about a lot of home fires. So I just urge people to don't hesitate to reach out, that we can make sure that everybody is safe in these times. So kudos to the fire department for helping out.
Thank you. I just want to let the council know, the general public, I did have another radio interview with the National News Organization regarding mining in northeast Minnesota. There were certain mayors that were selected throughout the Iron Range area to speak. It was a 10-minute interview, which little snippets of information will be collected and presented to the iron mining industry and to Congress and other entities that are pro-mining. And the topic of the discussion for the interview for me was the history of mining and what happened back in 2015 with the steel dumping by foreign steel and how that adversely affected our economy and how moving forward and how, we're just looking to, be on a level playing field in Section 232 that was adopted should be continued as the Biden administration takes a look at that and to keep our strong. So that's kind of the gist of it, to keep Section 232 in place, and if there was not to be in place, how that would adversely affect. So it wasn't just mayors, it was iron ore individuals, managers, union representatives. It was a cross-section of it. So I don't know if we're going to get a copy of the publication up, but I just want to let you know that I gave a just very short 10-minute interview of a pro-mining perspective and how important mining is as an economic driver here in northeast Minnesota. And so, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. That being said, I just want to also say that all the work that we do here as a city council, I think today was just a prime example of how it was a work in progress where we all work together to try to come a common goal. With this new Iron Trail Memorial Event Center, we really have laid the groundwork by opening it in September of 2020, and then moving forward with watching the operation, how it works, and watching how hard it is to manage a facility at this size in this new environment, and how our workers over there have been working diligently to try to maintain the level of performance that's needed and expected by the general public. And I think we took action today at the Personnel Committee of the whole meeting, and then again here at the council to reaffirm our commitment to that new Iron Trail Memorial Event Center, to the employees, and to the sufficient, effective, and operation, maintenance, and administration of that brand new facility. So I thank you very much for the council and the staff for working so hard for that. And I know the information that you had to compile was significant. And I thank staff for doing that because it really helped us a lot today. So thank you, everybody. If there's no other issues to come before the council today, we were going to stand adjourned pretty soon. Councilor Baraboo.
He's going to throw it at me. You can do that.
Councilor Baraboo.
I forgot one very important thing on that annual RAMS meeting. We ended with a little finish that we wanted everybody that was there, every school district, every township, every city that attended, to make sure if they have issues that RAMS can help them with that are significant to the TRA, the Taconite Relief Area, they should make sure they present it to our Executive Director, Ida Rukavina. So if you have anything as a council that you want us to bring up that affects the area, please do that, because this is one range, one voice is what it is, and we try to pick items that affect the whole area with one voice. So please think about it throughout the year, and if you have things throughout the year, we meet every fourth Thursday of the month. And anybody that, those are public meetings, and once we get this COVID stuff released, anybody can attend those meetings, but right now we're restricted. That means our assistant to Rams, Gary, can come, or anybody that's on this council can come. And we notified people of that. Okay? So that's important because sometimes they don't think they have a voice, but everybody has a voice at every one of these entities. So thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, in January 20th, I'll be attending the Better in Our Backyard event at the Grayson Ballroom down in Duluth. And what Better in Our Backyard is the support for mineral mining, both ferrous and non-ferrous mining in northeast Minnesota throughout the United States. I've been asked to come and attend and be part of the organizational structure there moving forward. It's really an annual report of what was transpired over the last year, so I'll be attending as an invitation to that regard. So it's Better in Our Backyard. I think it's they're very strong supporter of building and mining and any kind of business that we can do here instead of farming that out someplace else. So Better in Our Backyard has been a great organization to work with, and I'm looking forward to that annual meeting on January 20th. So thank you, everybody. No other issues to come before the council today. We will stand adjourned to our next council meeting, which is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody, for coming, for listening at home. Have a safe week and be careful. Roads are slippery. Have a good evening. Good night. Stand adjourned.